Part 42. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Ching Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 411. Just when Xiao Shulan was debating whether to take her family to find Xiaoning Xuan, Chu Yanyi came over. Chu Yanyi saw something was wrong with the faces of Lao Xiao's family and asked, "What's wrong? What happened? Where is Ning Xuan?" Xiao Shulan then told the story of Xiao He being kidnapped and Xiaoning Xuan being invited to Gushigu. Chu Yanyi counted his fingers secretly and nodded, "I know, I will go find her personally. She will be fine. You are at home. There are many of you. If she goes, they will probably jump over the wall in a hurry. Humans and dogs may everything will be fine." Although he knew that nothing would happen to Xiaoning Xuan, in order to stop her family, he could only say this. Good. On the other side, after Xiaoning Xuan went up the mountain, she saw no one around, so she used the Shudi formula and went directly to Gushigu. She came here every day for 2 years after her rebirth. No one was more familiar with this place than her. Xiaoning Xuan looked around and shouted, "I'm here, please let Xiao Ha go." Suddenly, a plastic bag appeared in front of her. She glanced at her head, feeling helpless. "Do you really think that no one will notice you if you hide in a tree?" She opened it and saw a note inside, which read, "If you want to save Xiao Ha, go to the path 2 kilometers away in the southeast. After getting into the carriage, put on a blindfold and stay calm, otherwise you will die immediately." Saw Xiao Ha's body. Xiaoning Xuan had no choice but to do as he was told. After walking 2 kilometers toward the southeast, I saw an unlicensed truck. She got into the car without thinking and put on a blindfold. I was really overly cautious. The carriage was originally a closed carriage, and it didn't matter whether I wore a blindfold or not. It's just that these people are really not afraid of her being suffocated to death. After Xiaoning Xuan got in the car, Xiao Jianmo, Xiao Jianzhou, and Xiao Jianyu came out of the darkness with their wives. After Xiao Jianmo locked the carriage door, the other 5 people suddenly became very excited. Lu Hehua smiled proudly and said, "I didn't expect that Xiaoning Xuan would be so stupid and things would go so smoothly." Xiao Jianmo frowned and said, "But I always feel like things are going too smoothly. How could Xiaoning Xuan be so stupid? He dared to put himself in danger for a dog." Ya Yunting said, "I also think it went too smoothly, but it's just a dog." Lu Yuero, "But we succeeded. Okay, brother, let's follow the plan. Things are already like this. We are all in the same boat, and no one can escape." Xiao Jianmo felt that what she said was reasonable, so he had to drive away first. Xiaoning Xuan's hearing is very good now, and he sneers repeatedly when listening to what is said outside. It's a good thing they thought of using Xiao He, who never came home, to deceive her. Had she not wanted to prove their crimes, would she be here now? But it was impossible for her to stay obediently in such a dark place as the carriage. After they locked the door and became invisible, she calmly sat on the carriage to see where they were going to take her. An hour later, a man wearing a black hat, a black mask on his face, and black clothes came to the door of Lao Jiao's house. There are always surveillance cameras in front of Lao Jiao's house. At this time, they have pulled out the video of who posted the first letter. Is a man wearing black clothes and a black hat. Just looking at the body shape, he should be a man. Xiao Kongsheng and Ye Kaixiang felt that the man's back was somewhat familiar, but they couldn't tell who it was. Seeing another man wearing a mask appear in the camera, the bodyguards who had already been ambushing him immediately stepped forward and arrested him. Seeing that he was caught, the man struggled hard, but it was of no use. In desperation, he could only shout, "Let me go, otherwise if something happens to Xiaoning Xuan, don't regret it. The cell phone in my arms is always talking, and you can hear it over there, don't you care?" And Xiaoning Xuan's life. Hearing this, The bodyguards looked at Jiao Kongsheng, who had already walked out. Jiao Kongsheng had no choice but to let people let him go. The man in black stood up proudly, dusted himself off, and placed a woven bag in the yard. "Prepare 50 million in cash immediately and put it in here, otherwise Jiao Ningxun will not survive." He Yuanhui glanced at the small woven bag and mocked, "I don't think you have seen how much 50 million in cash is. How can such a small woven bag hold 50 million in cash? Even if it is, can you carry it alone?" The man in black was laughed at and suddenly became angry, but thinking that what He Yuanhui said might be true, he could only frown and said, "If you can't let go of mine, I'll use yours." He Yuanhui said again, "You are too bold to threaten us with money in broad daylight. Aren't you afraid that we will call the police?" Although the man in black was wearing a mask, people present could still see the smug look in his eyes. "Call the police. Call the police. Then the fish will die and the net will break. Both Jiao Ningxun and the dog will die." He Yuanyang said, "Okay, we promise to give you money, but we can't put 50 million in cash at home, and the bank can't prepare the cash so quickly, unless we call the police and the police come forward to ask the bank to prepare it." "You can't call the police," the man in black said hurriedly. "How much money you have in your house now, just put it in." Jiao Kongsheng asked He Yuanhui to look at the man in black, while the others went in with him to get the money. After a while, Lao Jiao's family members put money into their woven bags one by one. "Jiao Kongsheng, I only have 50,000 yuan in cash." "Jiao Shulan, I have a total of 30,000. He Yuanyang, my brother and I only have 40,000 in cash in total." The man in black frowned, "This money is too little, only 120,000, which is far from what I need. Lao Jiao's family is indeed prosperous, and they can easily take out more than 100,000 in cash." He Yuanyang mocked, "With the rise of mobile payment, who would keep a lot of cash at home? If our family hadn't contracted a lot of land and sometimes needed cash settlement, we wouldn't even have 120,000 yuan. The man in black stepped forward to collect the money, frowned and said, "Then I will give you 1 day. At 12 o'clock tomorrow night, put the remaining money next to the huge stone at the entrance of the village, and you are not allowed to tell anyone what happened today. Anyone, otherwise you just wait to collect Jiao Ningxun's body." After saying that, he took the money and walked away. Ye Kaixiang asked anxiously, "Are we really going to let them take all the money away?" He Yuanyang said with relief, "Grandma, don't worry, the money can definitely be recovered. Now let's prepare the money according to their requirements. I have money in my card, I will go to the bank to prepare it." Jiao Kongsheng nodded, "Okay, you and your brother can go together. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible." Author, Qing Yue Chen Chen. Chapter 412. He Yuanyang was about to leave when he suddenly turned his head and said in an unprecedented serious tone, "Grandpa and Grandma, if you want to withdraw so much money and want the bank to cooperate as soon as possible, I can only call the police. With my cousin's ability, even if she calls the police, she will not, something will happen, but there is no room for change in the charges over there. Huge amount of kidnapping and extortion. If caught, he will most likely be sentenced to life imprisonment." Ye Kaixiang had told them just now that Jiao Ningxun said before leaving that it was the 3 brothers who did this. Jiao Kongsheng sighed, "I know that they are hopeless and they deserve to be punished." Those 3 unfilial sons really chilled him. He was completely disappointed with them. Ye Kaixiang also said, "Just do what you should do, and they will bear the consequences themselves." He Yuanyang nodded, turned around and drove to the city with his brother. They first called the police, and with the help of the police, they quickly took out the money. Suo family mansion. After hearing what his son said, Suo Jingguo stood up in shock. "What? Ningxun was kidnapped?" Suo Hongfen nodded, "Yes, a friend happened to go to the police station and met He Yuanyang and called the police. Suo Jingguo immediately ordered, use all our connections to catch the prisoner and bring Ningxun home safely. And those robbers, I will make them pay the price. Suo Hongfeng, Dad, don't worry. After He Yuan Yang called the police, I went to talk to him. This matter is not what we thought. Huh, Suo Jingguo was stunned, what is that? Suo Hongfeng told Xiao Ningxun's plan. Suo Jingguo suddenly became even more anxious, how could she risk her life like this? Even if she can tell fortunes, there are always times when her calculations are wrong. What if something happens? What should we do? Let Lao Jiao's family, what should people do? No, I have to go find her myself with the police. Suo Hongfeng said helplessly, Dad, don't worry. If we follow, we will only cause trouble and affect other people's work. In my opinion, you just wait at home. I will go to the police station. As soon as there is news, I'll just call you, okay? Suo Jingguo thought for a while and nodded, okay, if you have news, you must inform me as soon as possible. Must. At 12 o'clock the next night, He Yuan Yang and He Yuan Hui put the money at the place they designated according to each other's request. At this time, a group of police officers were lying in ambush in the dark. Although it was dark, they were wearing special equipment and could clearly see someone approaching the money. After a while, I saw the man making a phone call, seemingly checking with his accomplices. After a while, a van without a license plate drove over. Several people got out of the car and loaded all the money into the car. They also followed him to the car. He Yuan Yang and He Yuan Hui got into the car with the police and followed quietly behind the van. In order not to be noticed by the driver in front, they did not follow closely. Anyway, there is a final catcher in the money. Even if they are far away, they will not be thrown away. As for Xiao Ningxun, in order to avoid suspicion that she was kidnapped voluntarily, even though she was not in danger, she still had her mobile phone with her and did not share her location with her family. They were just amateur kidnappers. The police would surely be able to follow their route easily, so she wouldn't have to worry about them. After driving for 2 hours, the van finally stopped at an abandoned building on the mountain. Those people quickly moved all the money into the first floor. Turning on the camping light, the 3 Jiao brothers and the third sister-in-law surrounded the money at the same time, their eyes shining at the same time. Looking at so much money, Lu Hehua laughed and said, I didn't expect to get it so easily. It's so smooth. It seems that God is helping us. We will have a good life in the future. Xiao Jianmo has already thought about how to use the money. I want to buy a BMW and buy a house in the city. I want to live in the city. I don't want to live in that poor village of Deguo village for a second. Ya Yunting looked at so much money with a crazy look on her face. I didn't expect that Lao Qiao's family is really that rich. They took out 50 million as soon as they said they would take it out. Do you think we want less? Lu Yuero nodded, maybe if we asked for 100 million at the beginning, they could also come up with it. Xiao Jianmo said angrily, my parents are so rich, but they watch us live a hard life. It's really too much. Xiao Jianzhou was still a little guilty at first, but after seeing so much money, the guilt disappeared. Yes, they live such a good life, but they watch their offspring suffer. They are not worthy of being parents at all. Xiao Jianmo saw everyone drooling when they saw so much cash, and couldn't wait to ask, let's divide the money quickly, shall we? Ya Yunting's cousin Zhong Yunzheng suddenly came over and said, if you want to share the money, you should wait for me, right? I've helped you a lot. Ya Yunting smiled and said, don't worry, the money will be divided among the 7 of us, and you will be indispensable. Her cousin had been in jail for theft before, and when she made this plan, she roped in her cousin. After all, Zhong Yunzheng rarely appeared in front of Lao Qiao's family. If he did something, they would not be discovered. After all, there are surveillance cameras everywhere in Lao Chiao's house. If their son and daughter-in-law were to deliver the letter, the plan might not go so smoothly. Zhou Yunzheng heard this plan and agreed without even thinking about it. Qiao Jianmo said, I am the eldest brother, the biggest here. There is a total of 50 million here. The 7 of us have divided it. I have calculated it in advance. Each of us is 7,142,857 yuan and a dime 4 points, that's fair. Qiao Jianzhou, I have no objection. Qiao Jianyue, I don't have any objection either. The 3 women had no objection either. Zhou Yunzheng frowned and said, I have an opinion. Ya Yunding asked, what do you think? This division is very fair. Zhou Yunzheng, is it fair? The 6 of you have always been hiding at the end. Every time you go to deliver a letter, I am the one who takes the lead. If I hadn't been smart, I would have almost been caught. I also managed to get unlicensed vans and trucks. In other words, if it weren't for me, this matter wouldn't have gone so smoothly. You want to send me away with more than 7 million? You are dreaming. If I'm not satisfied, I'll report you anyway. I already have a criminal record, so I'm not afraid of one more time. Qiao Jianzhou said, this is what we agreed on from the beginning, why do you regret it again? Zhou Yunzheng snorted, we can still tear up the contract after we have signed it. What's more, we didn't sign the contract at all, so what if we regret it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 413. Ya Yunding asked helplessly, cousin, how much do you want? Zhou Yunzheng looked at the money and said greedily, I want half of the 50 million, and you can divide the rest among yourselves. You want half, Ya Yunding said in shock, 25 million divided between the 6 of us, that's too little. Zhou Yunzheng looked like a dead pig who is not afraid of boiling water. I don't care. Who told you not to know that I want more? Anyway, I want half. If you don't give it, I will surrender and let's finish it together. Lu Hehua was unwilling to lose the money she got, and looked at Ya Yunding with a reproachful look on her face. I told you, let us do the letter delivery ourselves. There is always a risk in looking for outsiders. You see, he will do it right away. If we go halfway, each of us will get more than 4 million. House prices have risen sharply recently, and we have no money to buy 2 houses in good locations in the city for our children. Lu Yuero also said, that's right, what do you think we should do now? Ya Yunding looked at her cousin, okay, don't make trouble, just do what we discussed before, okay. If this happens again next time, I'll call you, okay. Zhou Yunzheng said disdainfully, it's enough to do this kind of thing once, and I won't do it a second time. Give me a quick word, do you want to give it to me? If not, then I will surrender. Lu Yuero said with a gloomy face, okay, let the 6 of us discuss it. Zhou Yunzheng walked to the side and sat down on a chair, looking carefree and said, okay, let's discuss it. The 6 of them looked at each other and walked to a place 20 meters away from Zhou Yunzheng. The 6 people discussed for 5 minutes, and then they all came to Zhou Yunzheng's side. Zhou Yunzheng felt that he had them under control, and said with a proud face, have we discussed it? I already knew that you could only agree, but now I don't want to be so divided. Qiao Jianmo said with a gloomy face, then how do you want to divide it? Zhou Yunzheng said self-righteously, I want 40 million now, and the remaining 10 million will be divided between the 6 of you. Qiao Jianmo and the others looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Qiao Jianyu came up behind Zhou Yunzheng, took out a rope and strangled him around his neck. Others held down his hands and feet to prevent him from struggling. Qiaoning Sun, who was watching the situation here silently with Chu Yanyi from a distance, sighed secretly. Sure enough, money is the root of all evil. She has been locked in the car for the past 2 days. Her 3 uncles and aunt were probably worried that showing up in front of her would expose their identities, so they never planned to let her out. She even felt that the car wasn't worth much anyway, so even if it was convenient for her, she wouldn't feel bad about it. Without eating or drinking for 2 days, most people will not die of hunger or thirst. But if it were an ordinary person, he would have fainted from shock. For her who understands the magic of immortality, it is easy to enter and exit at will. When Chu Yanyi found her, she was making a gesture of closing the door, trying to pretend that she was still inside. Chu Yanyi said, "Your uncles and aunts are quite vicious." Qiaoning Sun nodded, "The police are coming, do you want to get out of the way? I'm going back to the car too." Chu Yanyi, "Let me take you back to the car." Qiaoning Sun, "That's okay. Acting has to be done in full. If she left now, without her as the victim, these people's crimes would be much lighter." Qiao Jianyu was determined to kill Zhong Yunzheng. When Zhong Yunzheng was about to die, a group of policemen suddenly ran in from outside the door and shouted solemnly, "Stop, everyone, raise your hands, or we will shoot." Hearing this sound, the 6 people moved their hands. Zhong Yunzheng felt the rope around his neck loosen, and he quickly used his remaining strength to break away from his captors, rolling and crawling away from the 6 people. Seeing the police coming, Zhong Yunzheng rolled his eyes and said with an aggrieved look, "Mr. Police, you came just in time. I found out that they were kidnapping and extorting ransom. In order to silence me, they actually wanted to kill me. You should catch them quickly, to rescue the kidnapped person." Qiao Jianmo and the other 6 people were extremely frightened at this time. They never expected that the people from Lao Qiao's family would actually dare to call the police. Are they really not afraid that they would tear up the vote and kill Qiaoning Sun? Hearing what Zhong Yunzheng said, Ya Yunding shouted excitedly, "Zhong Yunzheng, stop slandering good people here, you are also responsible for this." Zhong Yunzheng said contemptuously, "If I had a role, why did the 6 of you just kill me? If it wasn't to silence me, what else could it be? Some police officers have tortured everyone, and some police officers have already stepped forward to survey the environment." Ya Yunding said nervously, "Mr. Police, don't listen to him. He is with us. She is my cousin. What happened just now was all a misunderstanding." The old policeman said, "What exactly happened? You all go back to the police station. We received a call from He Yuan Yang and followed your car here. Where is the victim?" He Yuan Yang and He Yuan Hui also rushed over from outside and looked at them gloomily. "You actually did this. For money, you really do everything you can. You used to treat your grandparents so well even though we hated you, we never thought of harming you. As relatives, if you are so awesome, even if your grandparents know about it, they won't recognize you. My cousin is from the Suo family, aren't you afraid that the Suo family will find out and take revenge on your children?" When the 3rd sister-in-law heard about the Suo family, her heart skipped a beat at the same time. They both have 2 children. I heard that rich people hold grudges the most. If the Suo family really takes action against their children, then their children's future is probably over. The old policeman didn't hear the answer and asked again, "Where is Qiaoning Sun?" The 7 people looked at each other and made calculations in their minds at the same time. If Qiaoning Sun cannot be found, will it prove that they did not kidnap anyone at all? That cave is very hidden. After driving the car in, they disguised it so that it would be difficult for ordinary people to find it. As for whether Qiaoning Sun will starve to death, they have no control over it. As long as their crimes can be alleviated, they can do anything. Zhong Yunzheng couldn't speak. If he did, wouldn't what he just said prove that he was lying? He Yuan Yang shouted, "It's already this time, and you still haven't told the truth. He Yuan, why, are any of you relatives like this? You actually harmed your own niece for money. If your children knew about it, they would definitely be ashamed of you." 7 people were silent. Seeing that none of them spoke, the old policeman frowned and said, "There are still a few hours left, and the person will be missing for 48 hours. If you haven't checked on her, it is very likely that something will happen to her. If someone is really killed, when the time comes, your crimes will be increased 1 level, so think about it carefully. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible." Author, Ching Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 414. The 7 people were still silent. The old policeman added, "Whoever tells you first will most likely get the crime reduced when the court is in session." Lu Hehua suddenly said, "He Yuan Yang, if I tell you, can you prevent the Suo family from retaliating against my children?" He Yuan Yang, "I can't make the decision. Do you think the Suo family will listen to a little person like me?" Lu Hehua choked. He Yuan Hui said impatiently, "Will you tell me or not?" Lu Hehua hurriedly said, "I'll tell you." The others looked at her as if their eyes were quenched with poison. Xiao Jianmo shouted, "Idiot! So what if there is money here? If you can't find someone, you can't prove that they kidnapped someone. They can say that they just took advantage of the time difference when Xiao Ningxun was not at home to blackmail her family. This crime is much lighter than kidnapping." Lu Hehua said dissatisfied, "You are the idiot. It's now time. We can only fight for leniency. If Xiao Ningxun really dies, the matter will be really serious. Our children will be looking for jobs in a few years. Do we really want our children to be unable to stay in Nanjing?" From her perspective, they were just asking their own family for some money to spend. After all, they are relatives of the old Qiao family. Qiao Kongsheng and Ye Kaixiang will definitely spare them in the end for the sake of their grandchildren. Xiao Jianmo was silent. The old policeman looked at the others coldly and said, "I don't ask you to speak, so don't speak." As he said that, he looked at Lu Hehua and said, "Let's go, take us to find someone." At this time, others did not want Lu Hehua to take all the credit alone, so they all said, "I can take you there too." "I can too." "And I." "We can all do it." The old policeman snorted coldly, "You want to go now? It's too late. 1 person is enough." The rest of the people immediately hated Lu Hehua even more. Lu Hehua led some police officers to Xiao Ningxun's location. After arriving at a cave, Lu Hehua said, She is here. We have been keeping her here since we drove her here." The old policeman looked at the cave with the entrance hidden, and said in shock, "You helped people but you didn't come to see her? Didn't you send her water or food during this period?" Lu Hehua, "How dare we? If she recognizes her, we will not be able to survive in the future." The old policeman mocked, "You don't have to be on the right path to be smart, you deserve to be on this path." The old policeman waved his hand, and the other policeman immediately stepped forward and removed the cover of the cave. Soon, an old truck without a license plate appeared in front of them. A man quickly stepped forward to open the door of the truck and saw the unconscious Xiao Ningxun. "The person has been found." Xiao Ningxun acted as if he suddenly woke up when he heard the sound. To make it more realistic, she blocked the light with her hands, as if she hadn't seen the sun for a long time. After a while, she seemed to finally see clearly that the person in front of her was a police officer. Tears instantly flowed out, and she said with a frightened look on her face, "Police uncles, you are here. I thought I wouldn't be able to see the sun tomorrow." 2 young female policemen stepped forward to help her out of the car, and another policeman quickly put a coat on her. Seeing that Xiao Ningxun was crying very realistically, the old policeman had no doubts and said with relief, "Okay, your kidnapper has been caught. Your cousin and cousin are also here. You are safe. Chiao Ningxun looked up and saw He Yuan Yang and He Yuan Hui coming over. He sobbed and said, "Who is the person who kidnapped me?" He Yuan Yang said, "There are 3 uncles and aunts in name, and one is Ye Yunting's cousin." He had met Ye Yunting's relatives. When he saw Zhong Yun's hung without a mask just now, he immediately remembered who he was. Chiao Ningxun suddenly felt even more aggrieved. They went too far. They are all relatives, and they actually kidnapped me. The old policeman looked at Chiao Ningxun's face carefully and felt that there was something fishy about this matter. Logically speaking, this master of metaphysics can calculate and figure out what happened to her. But she was indeed kidnapped, and those people actually received the ransom, and their crimes were confirmed. Could it be that she planned this? Just to take revenge on her uncles and aunts? The old policeman shook his head. Forget it, these things are not his responsibility. Anyway, it is a definite fact that Chiao Ningxun was kidnapped by his uncle and aunt. The task has now been successfully completed. Lu Hehua suddenly breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Chiao Ningxun was fine. As long as she is fine, her parents-in-law will definitely forgive them for what they did this time for the sake of their grandchildren. Chiao Ningxun has always been filial and will definitely listen to her grandparents. The old policeman asked, "How is your health?" Chiao Ningxun, "It's okay, I'm just a little hungry." He Yuan Yang and He Yuan Hui immediately handed her the food they had prepared. Chiao Ningxun also cooperated and ate hungrily. When she had almost eaten, the old policeman said with concern, "To be on the safe side, it's better to go to the hospital for a checkup. This is a real talent. There will be many places where she will be used in the future. There must be no mistakes." Chiao Ningxun said, "I'm fine, I want to see my uncles and aunts. Let's talk about Zioha's matter later." Old policeman, "Okay." After a while, Chiao Ningxun came to the abandoned factory building. Seeing the 7 people being escorted to their knees, Chiao Ningxun sighed and said, "Why are you so confused? If you need money, go earn it yourself. It's fine now. You will be sentenced even if you don't die." Ye Yunting said with a sinister look on her face, "If you hadn't done everything so well, would we have been able to embark on this path?" Lu Hehua echoed, "That's right, we are all relatives. You helped the 4th family and made their family lives so well now. Why do you only help them and not us?" Lu Yuero also yelled, "We are all your aunts, why can that Xiangchaman eat better than us? Why can her children wear the new clothes you gave her? Why do you give her so many what if 1 month? If we were not willing to accept it, if you were generous to us, nothing would happen today." The policeman frowned upon hearing this. Is this a case caused by jealousy? He Yuan Hui mocked, "Now you are all blaming my cousin, why don't you reflect on what you have done? Who failed to respect your parents-in-law first? Who saw my second aunt raising us to have an extremely difficult life? Grandpa and Grandma, we obviously have 4 sons and 2 daughters, but only my 4th uncle, 4th aunt and 2nd aunt have done their duty as sons and daughters. When we were poor, you didn't come to help us. Now that we are rich, you come to pick them up. I want to take advantage of all the good things in the world, are you worthy?" The 6 of them were startled. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 415. Chiao Ningxun was speechless. "You guys are really ignorant. I was generous to my 4th aunt and gave her a high salary because she was good to me, so I was willing to give her a chance. She deserves all the salary I gave her. You only saw me giving her money, but you didn't see her staying up until 2 or 3 in the morning every day in order to design popular clothes. In order for the master to completely restore the clothes she made, she could sleep for 3 or 4 hours a day and then go to the factory to keep an eye on them. When it's time for the child to go to school the next day, she can go home energetically, send the child to school, and then return to the factory. and the clothes she designed are indeed very popular and sell well. She works hard for my company, and I give her high rewards. What's wrong with that? Three sisters-in-law choked at the same time. They really didn't know this. They thought Jiao Ningxun just lets Yang Chemin take a temporary job in her company on purpose so that she could pay her in a legitimate way. Lu Hehua said bravely, "What about your grandparents? They are my parents-in-law, and our children are also their grandsons and granddaughters. They should treat the younger generations well." He Yuanyang said disdainfully, "What are you dreaming about? Isn't it good for them to be good to you? You are not willing to spend money on my grandparents, but my grandparents are willing to spend money on your children." Lu Hehua's face darkened and she was speechless. Who knew that Jiao Ningxun would get rich and be so filial? If they had known about it earlier, they would definitely have the old couple confessed. Jiao Ningxun said, "Okay, don't talk nonsense with them, let them go to prison to reflect. People like them will never admit that they are wrong, they will only feel that everyone in the world is sorry for them, and all relatives should be kind to them unconditionally." He Yuan Yang, "Okay, I listen to you." He Yuan Hui, "I listen to my cousin." "That's right," Jiao Ningxun asked deliberately, "when you kidnapped me, you said that my dog Zioha was in your hands, but what about Zioha? What did you do to it?" The old policeman said, "Is there such a thing? They also kidnapped a dog." Jiao Ningxun handed the note in his hand to the old policeman. "Yes, this is what they wrote. Xiaoha was fostered in my home by Chu Yanyi, the young master of the Chu group. I also had Xiaoha identified before. Is a Tibetan Mastiff with a very pure bloodline, worth at least $1 million. When they said that Zioha was in their hands, I was worried that I would not be able to pay for Zioha's owner, so I took the risk." The old policeman glanced at the note in his hand and looked at the 7 people coldly. "Where's Zioha?" When Lu Hehua heard that Xiaoha was worth millions, she knew that their crime might be more serious, and hurriedly said, We don't know where Xiaoha is." Ya Yunting also explained, "Yes, we just heard from the people in the village that they hadn't seen Zioha for a long time, and they deliberately used Zioha in their hands to trick Jiaoning into passing by. Otherwise, we really couldn't think of any reason. Lie to her." Lu Yuero also nodded, "Yes, that's right. Jiaoning Xuan, I don't believe it. Tell me honestly, where did Xiaoha go? If something happens to Xiaohe, just wait for compensation. The Chu group will not let you go." The 7 people suddenly became more anxious. The kidnapping of Jiao Ningxun was their own business, but the dog belonged to an outsider, and the outsider would definitely not let them go. Jiao Jianmo was sweating profusely and shouted anxiously, "We really didn't kidnap Zioha. Jiao Ningxun, you should think carefully about it in prison. Should you disclose Xiaoha's whereabouts, take the initiative to pay compensation, or wait to be sued by the Chu group." The 7 people wanted to explain, but the police took them away. On the way, Jiao Ningxun reported that it was safe at home. The old policeman also called the Suo family to inform the Suo family that Jiao Ningxun had been rescued safely. Jiao Shulan received the call and rushed to the police station with her parents. Although they knew that Jiao Ningxun would be fine, everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they saw her appear safely in front of them. Jiao Shulan hugged her daughter and whispered, "Don't do such dangerous things in the future, okay?" Jiao Ningxun also hugged her mother. "Well, not anymore, never again." Suo Hongfeng saw Jiao Ningxun back safely and stepped forward and said, "Great, you're fine." Jiao Ningxun came out of Jiao Shulan's arms and said with a smile, "I can pinch and calculate, and everything will be fine." Suo Hongfeng nodded, "If you encounter something like this in the future, you must tell me and my father. We are also your family." Jiao Ningxun smiled and nodded, "Yeah." At this time, Jiao Kongsheng and Ye Kaixiang looked at the 3 captured sons and daughter-in-law with sad expressions on their faces. "You have gone too far. This is your niece. How could you kidnap her for money? She is your second sister's child, the eldest, second, and third child. Have you forgotten what your second sister did to you when you were a child? After you have a daughter-in-law, aren't you her brothers? When she was a child, she would not eat the good things herself, but left them all to you. When the adults are not free, she cooks for you. After she started working and before you were married, she would give you red envelopes and buy you clothes during every New Year and festival. Think about it for yourselves. How many things have you done to hurt us since you married your wife? Although I haven't cared about you, I haven't hurt you either. If I had known you were such a bastard, I should have gone to court to sue you for being unfilial and ask you to pay me regular alimony, so as not to make me feel that I might as well have given birth to you as a dog. Xiao Jianmo originally wanted to say that it was because they didn't give him money that they took a detour. He hesitated and suddenly prayed, "Dad, Mom, we were wrong. We are really just too short of money. We can't go to jail. Please let the second sister and Ningxun spare us, we will never dare to do it again." Xiao Jianyu said, "I was wrong too. Dad, Mom, just forgive us this time. We are a family after all. I promise you that as long as you forgive us, I will give you 1,000 yuan every month in the future fee." Xiao Jianzhou said, "Dad, Mom, I will never dare to do it again. As long as you let the second sister and Ningxun not pursue it, I can give Ningxun 10,000 yuan as compensation. I can also give you money every month. Do your duty as a son." Xiao Kongsheng suddenly stepped forward and gave each of his sons a loud slap. The policeman saw it and did not stop it. The fact that three uncles banded together to kidnap their niece for money is really outrageous. You deserve to be beaten by your own father. When Xiao Kongsheng finished the beating, Ye Kaixiang still felt upset, so she stepped forward and slapped each of the three daughters-in-law again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 416. Lu Hehua was beaten, and her face was full of anger. "You are not my biological mother, why do you beat me?" Ye Kaixiang said coldly, "You my granddaughter. As the child's grandmother, can't I beat you?" Lu Hehua choked. Xiao Shulan mocked, "My mother beats you lightly. If it weren't for the law, I would love to cut you into pieces." Xiao Jianzhou said with a grimace, "Mom, Dad, we know we were wrong, please spare us. There are still children at home. If all 6 of us are arrested, what will happen to the children?" "Humph, who are you showing this to? For the sake of their grandchildren, don't you have to forgive them? As parents, can they really let their daughters and granddaughters send their own sons to prison?" Xiao Kongsheng felt very unhappy when he saw that they were admitting their mistakes, but they looked confident on their faces, and shouted, "Now you know you are anxious? When you are doing this kind of thing, why don't you think about what happens if something happens? What will your children do after that? Do you know that if your parents have criminal records, your children will be denied access to all the good schools and jobs? You are harming yourself and your children." Ye Yunting curled her lips and said with a nonchalant look on her face, "The ones we kidnapped are our own family members. As long as you don't pursue it, won't it affect the children?" Policeman suddenly said, "You really don't understand the law. The kidnapping case is a public prosecution case. Even if the victim does not pursue you, the procuratorate will. Even if you win the victim's forgiveness, you may only be punished. Light punishment. In other words, you will definitely be punished by the law and pay the price." Policeman B said, "One of the conditions for a lighter punishment is that you sincerely repent. But looking at the way you just didn't know your mistake and didn't care about your crime just because you are related to the victim by blood, you simply don't care. Just don't know the mistake." Policeman C said, And you have such a big appetite that you actually asked for 50 million. You are also suspected of hiding the whereabouts of a Tibetan Mastiff worth millions. The amount involved is too large. You also tried to starve the victim to death. This has constituted a serious criminal offense. The Procuratorate affirmed I will prosecute you and eliminate these scourges for the victims and society. The 7 people's faces instantly turned pale. The reason why they are so bold is that they think that the person kidnapping is their own family members, so they are so confident after being caught until now. Had they known that they would really go to jail, they would not have done this. Zhou Yunzheng said in horror, "This matter has nothing to do with me. You saw it when you arrived just now. They wanted to kill me. I wanted to call the police, but they didn't give me the chance. If you want to die, die together. Xiao Jianmo will not give him this chance. Police gentlemen, don't believe his words. He is our accomplice. We have chat records with him on our mobile phones, which is enough to prove that he is related to this matter." Ya Yunding also said, "Yes, Zhou Yunzheng is my cousin. He found the unlicensed truck and van, and I just mentioned the kidnapping of Jiao Ningxun to him. He thought he could benefit, so he took the initiative to plan it." This matter. Lu Yuero also quickly distanced herself from the relationship. "Yes, we all acted according to Zhou Yunzhen's plan. He is the mastermind. Just now he asked us to give him 40 million, saying that he was the one who did the most." The rest of the people nodded. "Yes, that's what he said, and we can all prove it." A policeman said solemnly, "Okay, let's investigate the details of the matter." At this moment, Suo Jingguo also arrived. Seeing Jiao Ningxun appear in front of him safe and sound, Suo Jingguo's heart finally dropped. "Ningxun, are you feeling uncomfortable?" Jiao Ningxun saw Suo Jingguo's nervous face and said blankly, "It's okay, nothing's wrong at all." Is this the expression a biological father should have when he knows his daughter is in danger? Recalling the past, when Yuan Deshan knew that she was being bullied by her classmates in school, he didn't care whether she was injured or not and just blamed her for causing trouble. The feeling of being cared about by my biological father is quite good. Suo Jingguo suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, looked at the 7 kidnappers again, and narrowed his eyes dangerously. "Were you the 7 who kidnapped my daughter?" Jiao Jianmo and the other 7 people also heard about Jiao Jianmo in the village. Ningxun's biological father. Seeing Suo Jingguo's expression as if he was going to eat them, the 7 of them felt scared. Lu Hehua was also scared and said bravely, "Sir, we were also obsessed with money for a while, so we did something wrong. We didn't intend to kill her, we just wanted some money to spend." Ya Yunding also said, yes, we planned to get the money, so we let her go." Jiao Ningxun raised his eyebrows and suddenly said with an aggrieved look on his face, "But you didn't give me food or drink for 2 days. I also heard that after you got the money, you didn't plan to let me go and wanted to continue to imprison me. Hold me and starve me to death." Everyone present was shocked when they heard this. Suo Jingguo said angrily, "You just want to make money, but you still want to kill people? Do you still want me to forgive you? What a dream. I want you to go to jail, and I want you to pay the price." Jiao Jianmo panicked and looked at his parents. "Mom, Dad, we can't go to jail. Our children are still young. Do you want to watch your grandchildren lose their parents? Children without parents are so pitiful. Ah, can you bear it?" Jiao Kongsheng said coldly, "As I said, this is a public prosecution case, there is no point in begging me. Ye Caxiang, and it's not that we won't let you go now. You hurt someone else's daughter, and you still want others to let you go? If Ningxun kidnapped your child, could you let her go?" The 7 people were stunned and immediately speechless. Jiao Kongsheng, "After all, your children are my grandchildren, and I will not ignore them." Hearing this, the 3 couples became more active again. Sure enough, their child is a descendant of Lao Jiao's family after all, and they cannot ignore it. Lao Jiao's family is so rich, they must be willing to raise their children. From now on, when children follow their grandparents, they will definitely be able to eat delicious food and drink spicy food. What they committed is not a capital crime, and they will be released one day. After going out, their children may have grown up. They live a good life in prison, and their children's study and life are all left to Lao Jiao's family. All the thankless things are done by the people of Lao Jiao's family. Haha, this seems good. Thinking of this, the six of them stopped making trouble. With the financial resources of Lao Jiao's family, their children will definitely become talented. After they go out, they will have high-quality children to support, and they will not have to worry about it in this life. Each of them has 2 children, and if each child is given 3,000, they can have 6,000 for living expenses a month. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 417. Chapter 417 6 Children. That's really great. Seeing the look in their eyes, Jiao Kongshen guessed what they were thinking and poured cold water on them coldly. I said I won't care about it, but I won't care about it myself. Every penny in my hand will be spent by Ningxun, and Ningxun's mother earns it. It's impossible for me to use their money to support your children. They all have relatives on their mother's side, so I will send them all to the grandparents' house. If the grandparents' house doesn't take over, and the other uncles and aunts don't take over, I will send them to an orphanage. I want a lot of replacements at my age. You take care of the children, eat my food, live in my house, and pick up what you have after you are released from prison. You are just dreaming. The faces of the 6 people suddenly turned pale again. They wanted to say something else, but the police took them all away without giving them a chance. Suo Jingguo looked at his daughter and said, "Come home with me. I'll have someone prepare delicious food for you. School is about to start. I heard there is military training. If you don't take a good supplement, your body won't be able to bear it." Jiao Ningxun glanced at Jiao Shulan, saw her nodding, and said with a smile, "Then I'll stay for a few days, and I'll go back 2 days before school starts. If she goes back to Daguo village now, she will probably be talked about by the elders for several days. As well as the villagers who care about her, the house will definitely not be quiet for several days. When we go back in a few days, they probably won't talk about her anymore, and the villagers won't be so enthusiastic." Suo Jingguo and Suo Hongfeng were overjoyed at the same time. "Okay, I'll listen to you." The people in Lao Jiao's family knew that Jiao Ningxun had not suffered a loss, so they were not too worried about her and let her go to Suo's house with confidence. It is still summer vacation, and the children of the 3 Jiao brothers are all at home. They are all gathered at the home of the eldest Jiao Jianmo. The 3 brothers all have 2 children, and all 6 children were sitting in front of the TV watching TV. Jiao Jianmo's 2 sons, Jiao Qingjin and Jiao Chengxiang, are 17 and 15 years old respectively this year. The 2 of them are older, and they remember what their parents said in their hearts. Even though their parents and uncles and aunts discussed things behind their backs, when the 2 of them suddenly woke up in the middle of the night, they still heard them saying that they were going to make a big deal, and if they succeeded, the family would be able to turn over. They were also shocked at first. Their parents were ordinary people. What kind of business could help them turn around? But when they heard that after their parents became successful, they would buy them houses and cars and send them to live in the city, they became excited and did not ask their parents what they wanted to do specifically. At this time, the 2 of them were not watching TV as easily as other cousins. They know that if their parents succeed today, they will be rich. From now on, I don't have to stay in Daguo village and can live in the city. Grandpa and Grandma's family has a good life, and they have long been envious of it. Because their family was poor, They suffered a lot of looks from the class. The laptops, tablets, mobile phones, etc. they want in the future, their parents will definitely be willing to buy them. It was almost time for their parents to come back, and the two of them kept looking at the gate. As for whether their parents would fail, they never thought about it. After a while, there was indeed a sound at the door. The two of them were overjoyed and ran over to open the door at the same time. They were excited and said before they saw anyone, "Dad, Mom, did you succeed? Will we all have a good life in the future?" As soon as he opened the door, he saw Xiao Kongsheng, Ye Kaixiang, and 4 bodyguards standing beside them. Xiao Kongsheng saw the expressions of Xiao Qingjin and Xiao Chengxiang, combined with what they just said, frowned, and said, "Do you know what your parents did today? I had known that my grandchildren would not learn well from their parents, but seeing them so stupid with my own eyes, it still hurts them as grandparents." Xiao Qingjin was stunned, his eyes evaded and said, I don't know what you are talking about. My parents are not at home. If you have anything to do, come back later." After saying that, he closed the door and had no intention of inviting his grandma in to sit down. A bodyguard stopped him from closing the door. Xiao Qingjin was only 1.65 meters tall. When he saw the bodyguard who was over 1.9 meters tall taking action against him, he said nervously, Are you going to bully us while my parents are away? When my parents come back, they won't let you go." Xiao Kongsheng and Ye Kaixiang ignored his words and walked in on their own. When I came to the living room, I saw Xiao Yubei and Xiao Yuru from the second oldest family, and Xiao Liki and Xiao Lishan from the third oldest family. The 4 of them were relatively young and were a little scared when they saw the bodyguards. They all sat in place and did not dare to move. Xiao Kongsheng said, "You 6, you don't have to wait for your parents to come back. They kidnap and extort, and also seek money and death. I heard from the police that they won't be able to get out in less than 10 years. The faces of the 6 people turned extremely frightened at the same time. The youngest Xiao Lishan is 11 years old and can understand what her grandparents say. Xiao Qingjin did not expect that his parents would fail, and said in a trembling voice, "Then, what will we do?" Xiao Kongsheng frowned and asked, "Judging from your expressions just now, you know what your parents are going to do. If you don't stop it after knowing it, you can be said to have committed the crime of harboring." Xiao Qingjin and Xiao Chengxiang froze, their faces extremely panicked. Xiao Qingjin hurriedly explained, "We didn't know they were going to kidnap people. We only knew that they said they wanted to do a big business. If they succeed, our family will become a rich family when they come back today." Xiao Chengxiang also said, "Yes, if we knew that they were doing something illegal, we would definitely stop it. The school teacher said that we are going to take the high school entrance examination and the college entrance examination. If our parents have criminal records, no matter how good our grades are, we will not be able to do it in the future. Good schools and good companies want us." The other 4 children also denied it. They didn't know what their parents were going to do today. Xiao Kongsheng, "That's all. For the sake of our ancestors and grandchildren, I won't pursue this matter for the time being. These children may really not know." The child didn't even talk about it. I believe that his 3 sons and daughter-in-law, no matter how stupid they were, would not dare to tell the child. Xiao Kongsheng glanced at the house, then at the 6 of them, and said expressionlessly, "You 6, you were taught by your parents not to respect the elderly, and you don't like us 2 old people. You don't like us, and to be honest, we don't like you either, so we won't touch your cold ass. Xiao Qingjin and Xiao Chengxiang, you are 17 and 15 years old this year. You are older, half-grown, and poor. Even if you are willing to go to other people's homes, no one will probably be willing to adopt you. But if you insist on if someone wants to take you over to a relative's house, we won't object." End of this chapter. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Chen Chen. Chapter 418. Chapter 418 Living by Oneself. If you stay at home, your family still has land, and you can farm during the holidays, plus the savings left by your parents, which will be enough to prevent you from going hungry and freezing. If your family is like this, the school will probably take special care of you, at least it won't let you starve to death. If you follow your relatives on your mother's side, your parents' savings will definitely be wiped out. Qiao Qingjin and Qiao Changxiang looked dejected. Although they are reluctant to admit it, Qiao Kongsheng is right. They are already over 10 years old and can take care of themselves. Had they known what it would be like today, they would have been kinder to their grandparents. Grandpa and Grandma's family is so rich, they can also enjoy the blessings. Ye Kaixiang looked at Jiao Jianzhou and Ye Yunting's two children, Jiao Yubei and Jiao Yuru. You two are girls, one is 15 and the other is 14. They are also older, but considering that you are underage for the sake of it, I will show you a way. You can go find your grandparents. I still remember clearly how you scolded me before. I am very vindictive and will not raise you. Jiao Yubei and Jiao Yuru lowered their heads, feeling extremely scared. The relatives on my grandparents' side favored boys over girls and didn't like them at all. They will definitely be bullied if they go there. Ye Kaixiang continued, if you don't want to go, go to the prison to find your parents and ask for the bank card password. From now on, just like your cousins, you can live at home and grow some short-growing vegetables during the holidays. If you take it out and sell it for money, you won't starve to death. Right now, I'm the nanny hired by your second aunt and your cousin to take care of me. I don't have the ability to take care of you. Jiao Yubei and Jiao Yuru instantly turned red. I secretly cursed my parents for why they were so stupid and unfilial before, and why they made the relationship so tense. Jiao Kongsheng looked at Jiao Liki and Jiao Lishan again. You are 13 and 11 years old. You are the youngest. If you want someone to take care of you, you should go to your grandparents in the future. You broke my heart before. I really don't want to care about you. When I see you, I will think of your hateful parents. Now, please go home and pack your things. I will notify your grandparents. They have loved you in the past, and they will definitely accept you. After Jiao Kongsheng and Ye Kaixiang finished speaking, they looked at the expressions of the six of them carefully. The six children looked at each other, with tears streaming down their faces. We don't go to other people's homes, we stay in our own homes. It's not that we lost our parents, they just can't go home for the time being. I don't want to go either. Grandpa and Grandma's house is very scary. If you go there, you have to work. Me too, I want to be at home. I want my parents, please give me your parents back. Dad, Mom, I miss you, please come back soon. After all, Ye Kaixiang is a woman, and these people in front of her are still her own grandchildren. Although she feels distressed, her family's situation is special, so she can only say helplessly, it is impossible for me to raise you. I am still relying on your second aunt to support you. Your parents kidnapped your second aunt's biological daughter. She will never raise you or spend money for you. You can only go to your mother's relatives. If she said she wanted to take care of these people now, wouldn't it chill her only filial daughter? At this moment, the village chief came in. On the way here, he had already heard from He Yu and Yang what the parents of these six children had done. The village chief looked at the children in the room. Although he didn't like their temperament, they were children after all, and he didn't have the deep hatred against them like the old Jiao family. Your grandma is right. She has to rely on others to support her. She can't support you. I have called your grandparents and they said they are willing to come and see you. Of course, if you don't want to go, I won't force you. You can live here by yourself. As the village chief, I won't ignore you. For the sake of being a village, I will ask people to take more care of you in the future, but it is impossible to treat you as unconditionally as your parents did, and it is impossible to spend money on you. We also have our own families. Take care of. Chiao Kongsheng said, if you live on your own in the future, you won't rely on others and be looked down upon by relatives, but your life will definitely not be as easy as living with your parents. Think carefully about it. Chiao Chinjin said, the six of us need to discuss it. Village chief, let's discuss it, we'll wait here. Chiao Chinjin called his 5 younger brothers and sisters into his room. Chiao Chinjin, are you willing to go to other people's homes? Chiao Lishan hurriedly said, no, every time I go to my relatives' houses, my relatives will criticize me for whatever I do. Chiao Yubei, I won't go either. My grandparents dislike the fact that we 2 sisters are girls and don't like me at all. My parents left the money and I know the password. We can live on our own. Chiao Yuru, yes, when we grow up, we can live by ourselves. Others also shook their heads. 20 minutes later, they came out at the same time. Chiao Chinjin, we have thought about it. We are at home. We have grown up and can live by ourselves. We are not going anywhere. The village chief looked at the others, do you all have the same idea as him? 5 people nodded at the same time. The village chief sighed and said, okay, from now on, when you go to bed at night, close the doors and windows, and I will take good care of you. Chiao Chinjin, thank you very much, Grandpa Village Chief. The problem was solved, and Chiao Kongsheng and Yekaxiang soon stayed. Chiao Chinjin turned around and left when he saw his grandpa. Although he knew they would not agree, he still asked again, Grandpa, Grandma, are you really not going to care about us? Chiao Kongsheng stopped for a moment, then turned around and said, your parents didn't take care of me, and even caused me serious harm. I don't want to take care of it, but if you 6 really don't even have a bowl of white rice one day, if you can't afford it, I can give you a bowl of rice. He can send some rice and vegetables grown by himself. However, it is impossible to give anything you get from your daughter and granddaughter to them for their enjoyment. Chiao Lishan cried and said, Grandpa, Grandma, I was wrong before. I will never call you old and immortal again. Just let us live in your home. I am the youngest and can't take care of myself at all. Chiao Yubei said with an aggrieved look, Grandma, are you really unwilling to take care of us? We are just children and there are no adults at home. How can we do this? Chiao Yuru also said, Grandma, we were really wrong before. I can apologize on behalf of my parents. Please don't ignore us. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Ching Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 419. Chapter 419, 5 generations living under one roof. Yekaxiang sighed and said, stop talking, I won't take you in. If you are afraid of being alone at home, go to your grandparents' house. As she said that, she was worried that she would be soft-hearted, so she quickly pulled Chiao Kongsheng away. Several girls cried even more sadly. The village chief looked at the 6 people and said sternly, let me say something unpleasant. What your parents did before was really outrageous, otherwise you would not have received this retribution. I advise you, think of your father in the future. If I still recognize you, just behave honestly in the future and don't think about taking revenge on others, otherwise you will go down the same path as your parents sooner or later, do you understand? The 6 people nodded blankly. They didn't think about revenge. They have to rely on others for their lives now, so how can they dare to retaliate against others? The village chief said a few more words to them, and then helped them deal with things when their grandparents came over. The grandparents of the 6 children were shocked when they learned that something happened to their son and daughter-in-law. At first they felt pity for the children and wanted to take them in. But the son and daughter-in-law firmly refused to agree, and they had no choice but to find ways to persuade their children not to go with them. They were relieved to hear that the children would stay at home. The children are now older. In the countryside, children aged 6 or 7 can cook and eat by themselves, not to mention that they are already over 10 years old and it is possible to take care of themselves. The elders from the other 2 families gave their children some money, but Liu Yuero's parents were still unhappy when they thought that Jiao Ningxun had spent 20,000 yuan on the party for college entrance that day. They didn't even have a good look towards Jiao Kangshen's grandchildren. They just said a few words and left in a hurry, for fear that the children would ask them for money. At this point, these 3 families are living under the care of the village chief and the village. It is said to be taken care of, but actually it means taking care of her during the winter and summer vacations. She is in school on weekdays and is taken care of by the school. Once you have a holiday, you have to do farm work. The people in the village occasionally water their vegetables for the sake of the village chief. But if everyone doesn't have time, those vegetables will just rot in the ground. After all, Jiao Ningxun contracted a lot of land in the village and gave most of the villagers a job. They were really grateful. Hearing that their parents had kidnapped their parents, they didn't want to care about those children at first. Some people in the village even kept their children away from the 6 people for fear of being taught bad things by them. But some people are soft-hearted. Seeing that it is really difficult for the children to do some things without adults at home, they will help. It's just a matter of time. These children are spoiled by their families. Sometimes when they see someone helping them do things, they don't watch their homework but watch TV instead. The adults who help them stopped being so helpful over time. They will only help if it is something particularly difficult, such as a broken light or a broken water pipe at home. What the parents of the 6 children did was later spread to their school. The classmates knew that their parents were so cruel, and gradually no one played with them. Even school teachers can hardly force themselves to have too much contact with them. They just have to fulfill their duties as teachers. Gradually, the 6 of them had few friends. They were isolated by everyone and could only hug each other for warmth. The day after Jiao Ningxun returned to Suo's house, Suo Lianyi knew that Jiao Ningxun had gone back and went to the door with her husband and son. At this time, Jiao Ningxun looked at the various gift boxes in front of him and twitched the corner of his mouth. It's just different for rich people. Suo Lianyi smiled and said, Ningxun, it's all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, I might have lost my grandson. My daughter-in-law's pregnancy was unstable. I heard that you have to practice driving every day, so it's not easy to come to the door. I knew you were coming back today, so I prepared a large number of gifts for you. As she spoke, she opened one gift box after another. This is a diamond necklace. Your uncle bought it and gave it to me for 10 million. I heard it was the jewelry of a certain king and queen hundreds of years ago. This is a white jade bracelet. I heard it is an antique from 300 years ago. This is a limited edition bag. There are only 3 in the world. I finally asked someone to buy it. This is a crystal brooch, most suitable for your age. It's also specially customized, and it's the only one in the world. This one, and this one, these are all for you. Suo Lianyi became more and more embarrassed as she spoke. Last time, my aunt should have given you a meeting gift for the first time we met. I will make up for it all this time. Although the Gu family's money is not as rich as that of the Suo family, they still have some spare money. Gu Jiatang said with a smile, this is also a little bit of my uncle's wishes. I accept them all. I will send them to you if I see good things in the future. Thanks to her, his grandson will be born. Gu Qin also looked uncomfortable. Well, thank you for what happened last time. If anything happens in the future, just tell your cousin. If someone bullies you, My cousin will beat him up for you. Chiao Ningsun smiled lightly and said, "You're welcome, these things are very valuable, just take them all back. I just did what I should do." Had she not calculated that Gu Jiatang was a good character and Suo Lianyi and Gu Qin had no ill intentions towards her, she would not have helped them. Moreover, one of the reasons why she told Hu Jingjing that she wanted to abort the child was to frighten Suo's family so that they would not dare to underestimate her. Seeing that she refused to accept it, Gu Qin thought that she was still angry with him that day, so he began to apologize again. "I did say something wrong last time. I apologize, so just accept it, cousin." Suo Jingguo also advised, "Take it, they are the elders give it to them, and they cannot refuse it." Hearing this, Chiao Ningsun did not refuse. "Okay, come and ask me again next time if you have anything, but as I said last time, I can only calculate part of the future of people who are related to me by blood, not I can count everything, but I can count everyone who is not related to me." Suo Lianyi suddenly asked with bright eyes, "Then can my grandson be born smoothly?" Chiao Ningsun counted with his fingers and nodded, "Of course." The Gu family suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. One of the purposes of their coming here today is to get this answer. Suo Lianyi looked at Gu Jiatang, "Your uncle is not related to you by blood, so can you calculate that he can live a long life in the future?" Chiao Ningsun nodded, "Yes, I will live a long life, 5 generations will live together, and I will still have you by my side." 5 generations living under one roof? The Gu family was extremely pleasantly surprised. Today was really not in vain. It's great that they can actually see their grandson's grandson born in the future. As they get older, the family becomes more and more lively. Suo Lianyi smiled and said, "Then let me lend you a good word. I still have something to do at my aunt's house, so I will leave first and go to my aunt's house to play later. My aunt's family also has a house in the capital. If my aunt goes back, you must come." End of this chapter. Back before I became a vegetative state, I became an immortal and invincible. Author, Qing Jue Chen Chen. Chapter 420. Chapter 420 Ancient Martial Arts. Chiao Ningsun, definitely. At night, Chiao Ningsun opened the live broadcast software and started live broadcast. Just as soon as it was opened, the live broadcast room became more lively than ever. At Byobushanglian, let me just say that the person who was pretending to be a ghost in your house just now is a liar. The anchor has now appeared. Yeah, that liar's figure can be seen at a glance, and he doesn't look like an anchor at all. That's right, take a closer look at Chang Sheng and Chang Sheng. She is so slender and that person is so strong. They don't even look alike. That person's voice is completely different from the anchor. Chiao Ningsun looked at the barrages, counted them with his fingers, and frowned. "Anchor, you still don't know what happened, let me tell you. Just now, an anchor named Buletin Shenglian suddenly started broadcasting, saying that he had invited Chang Sheng and Chang Sheng. The liar was wearing the clothes you usually wear, wearing the hat you usually wear, and the mask was even the same as yours, even the voice. Much like you, Buletin Shenglian was very polite to her, saying that he wanted to ask her to exorcise evil spirits, and would give her 1 million when she was done. That liar, when he heard 1 million, his eyes glowed green. You are such a calm person usually, and people with great ability must regard money as dirt. How could you be so excited when you hear a mere 1 million? That's right, that's right. We told her that the man must be a liar, but she still didn't believe it. Anchor, hurry up and stop her. You can definitely figure out where the liar is. Chiao Ningsun glanced at the time. It was already 8 o'clock. He could only go there once. Okay, I'll go there. The show will start in 3 minutes. 3 minutes? Is the anchor very close to that liar today? It seems that the background behind her has changed, and she is probably not at home. Then this is God's will. Jiaoningsun quickly downloaded the broadcast and used teleportation to reach the liar's location. Fortunately, she is live broadcasting at Zuo's house today, and her background is different. She can use her magic at will, and it won't make people suspicious. The liar is in a high-end residential building. In order not to cause panic, she did not go directly to the floor where the scammer was located. Instead, she went to the gate to register first, and then quickly walked in. She came to the first floor where the liar was, turned on the live broadcast, and rang the doorbell. The door opens quickly. Buletin Sheng Lian saw Jiaoningsun wearing a mask at the door, and then looked at the person sitting on the sofa inside, with a horrified look on his face. Are you the anchor of Changsheng and Changsheng? Jiaoningsun nodded, it's me. How come there are two immortals and immortals? I already told you that that person is a liar, but you didn't listen and even turned off the live broadcast. That's right, now it's exciting, the fake and the real one meet. Haha, I saw a good show. Jiaoningsun still wore a mask and said quietly, there is only one immortal, and that is me, but there can be many fakes, and the one among them is a liar. Buletin Sheng Lian was stunned, how is that possible? Jiaoningsun said helplessly, just log in and watch my live broadcast. I am live broadcasting now, and my phone is on my chest. The scammer must not have my account. Buletin Sheng Lian suddenly realized it and quickly opened the live broadcast software. After a while, Bu Sheng Lian strode towards the sofa and said angrily, you liar, you actually dare to lie to me, you are so brave. Jiaoningsun also followed her and saw clearly the face of the person on the sofa at this time. It does look a bit like her. The girl wearing a Taoist robe and holding a whisk in her hand did not panic when she saw the lotus growing angry. She put down the potato chips in her hand and suddenly raised the whisk. I am not a liar, I am truly immortal, and immortal this liar still uses a whisk? It's really pretentious. The real owner has come to visit, but you are still so calm. Could it be that you really have some ability? Maybe, let's take a look at the situation. Buletin Sheng Lian said angrily, the person next to me is Changsheng and Changsheng. You are still lying to me now. You have the ability to log in to your live broadcast account and broadcast live. Girl saw Jiaoningsun wearing a mask next to her, and frowned, you liar, why are you pretending to be me? Jiaoningsun didn't want to talk nonsense with her, so he suddenly slapped her. The girl was very agile. When she saw the slap coming, she immediately stood up, ran to the opposite side of the coffee table, and confronted the two people opposite. Girl yelled, how can you hit someone? Jiaoningsun didn't say anything, he stepped forward and kicked her on the head. The girl also dodged easily. What's the situation? Why did the anchor start fighting as soon as I came in? The anchor can also do martial arts, he really doesn't show his real face. Let me just say that I am a fan of the anchor Bao Bao. She is really amazing. Jiaoningsun didn't give her time to breathe. As soon as her right foot landed, her left foot kicked the girl on the chest again. The girl was caught off guard and was instantly kicked to the wall and lay on her back. You are too cruel and your strikes are too heavy. It hurts me to death. Jiaoningsun didn't wait for her reaction, and suddenly took out two pairs of handcuffs from his bag and cuffed the girl's hands and feet. The girl wanted to struggle, but Jiaoningsun suddenly clicked an acupuncture point on her body, and she was unable to move instantly. There are many books in Jiaoningsun's space, including books on various ancient martial arts. She now has a photographic memory. After reading those books, she can naturally use those moves as soon as she makes a move. The physical quality of those who cultivate to immortality is completely different from that of ordinary people. Most people nowadays are really no match for her. Oh my God, the anchor can actually subdue people so neatly. Anchor, my idol, you are so awesome, I love you. Anchor, who did you learn your skills from? I actually can't tell what kind of martial arts it is, it's too fast. Am I blind? I could only see the afterimage of the anchor's actions. Upstairs, I feel relieved with your words. It seems that I am not the only one like this. How do I feel that her actions just now are like ancient martial arts? Ancient martial arts? Wasn't ancient martial arts lost long ago? The anchor can actually do it? Maybe I am wrong. Ancient martial arts have indeed been lost a long time ago. Excited for nothing. The girl looked horrified. What did you do to me? Why can't I move? Chiao Ningxun said slowly, don't worry, as long as you tell me honestly, your life will not be in danger. The girl wanted to struggle, but it was of no use at all. She could only sit on the ground and look at Shen Lian step by step and said, Lu Yulian, I really didn't lie to you. I can really exorcise evil spirits. There are ghosts in every room, and there are more than one. If you don't let me exorcise the ghosts, you will definitely die tonight. End of this chapter.